Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone for the Sunday morning session on the journey of self-discovery. Before we begin, let's offer our praise to Prabhupada and Lord Krishna. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki jai. Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. So today we are going to continue with our discussions from the previous session on the topic which we began last week. Show bottle spiritualists exposed. So this is an interview which Prabhupada is having at one of the cities in New York, in America, in early 1960, like early 1970s. It's around 1968 or 69, that way. So a very, the press reporter is asking some pertinent questions on the situation of various so-called gurus who are coming to America. And Prabhupada is very openly and frankly answering those questions. So the topic is Show Bottle Spiritualists Exposed Part 2. All these discussions we're having by the inspiration of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the worldwide Hare Krishna movement, ISKCON, who has so mercifully given us these teachings in a way, simplified way, that we can access them, we can understand them nicely and apply in our own personal lives for our own spiritual progress. So in the previous session, just to have a quick recap of what we have discussed, Prabhupada was asked with a question, with so many gurus in America who are all coming, and what is their situation? Because people are all getting confused. So Prabhupada's direct response to that was, these so-called gurus are cheating people and they are misleading people, and people are also getting befooled by them. Which means Prabhupada is not having any, reservation with not to speak what is fact, what is truth. That's what we can see. And Prabhupada said, these people are all thriving in their business with the gurus, as gurus, because people also want to be cheated. There's a phrase known as the cheaters and the cheated. Why? Because we want something very cheap. The spiritual life doesn't come with simply you do anything and everything and you also have spiritual realization. No. Spiritual life comes with a lot of discipline and strictly following few rules and regulations, which are very essential. So these people who come as so-called gurus, they're offering everything like as though, okay, you give me some money, you do simple things, you become God, like this. So it's a society of cheaters and cheated. So Prabhupada is very clear on this point. Further, Prabhupada says, now with regard to how people, because they're all in their own way of life with regard to what to do, what not to do, and they are all conditioned by different situations, circumstances in their life, they don't have clarity of what is spirituality, what is spiritual progress. So Prabhupada says, when you are actually going through a proper discipline of spiritual practices, that gives a lot of clarity in life. So Prabhupada also said, one of the questions was that, why is that, what is the difference between your movement and already we have Christianity and Judaism, people are following. What is the difference? Prabhupada says there's no difference practically. But thing is, the problem with you people is you're not following your own religion's commandments, directions given in your religion. And there's no practical aspect of being, communicated to the people, your population. And because of which people are all drifting away from not following the rules, regulations, right? So Prabhupada very clearly said, without religion, human society is animal society. That's what the whole society has degraded now. People don't want to follow any rules, regulations, just for the sake of formality, just for the sake of name. They're trying to come out as, we are religionists, or we are following some religion with a rubber stamp on their head. This is not what Prabhupada expected from us, right? Rather, the scriptures expect from us, or the acharyas expect from us. And we are supposed to follow the all the rules, regulations for our own progress in spiritual life, right? That is what is expected. And without this, human society is as good as animal society. We are only busy in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So Prabhupada further, he's answering more questions of this reporter. The reporter journalist asks, all right, let me ask you this. How does your interpretation differ from the basic Judeo-Christian ethic of the 10 commandments? Prabhupada says, there is no difference. But as I've told you, none of them are strictly following the 10 commandments. That's the problem, right? So I simply say, please follow God's commandments. That is my message. So Prabhupada is telling, I'm only telling people, whatever religion you are following, whatever faith you are following, you please follow the rules, regulations of that particular faith. That's all, nothing more. In other words, you're asking them to obey those principles, journalist asks. Prabhupada says, yes, I don't say that Christians should become Hindu. Right? Prabhupada is saying, I've not come for any conversion here. Rather, I'm trying to tell them I've come here to make you a better Christian, better Judaism follower. So like this, Prabhupada is trying to make them very clear that I'm requesting them to follow your own principles strictly. I simply say, please obey your commandments. I'll make you a better Christian. That is my mission. See, it's a wonderful, broader vision Prabhupada had with regard to his own, presentation of things. I don't say God is not in your tradition. God is only here in ours. I simply say, obey God. Yes, see, Prabhupada is very clear in his instructions and directions. Prabhupada only wants to say that you please obey God. Whatever God says, you please follow. I don't say you have to accept that God's name is Krishna or no other. And no other. No. Prabhupada never went to the Western countries to preach. That, you follow this only, this is better, that is not good. He's not giving any comparative analysis of this religion or this faith is better than this one. No. Prabhupada is telling whatever you are following, you please follow strictly. I say, please obey God. Please try to love God. This is the message Prabhupada took with him and wanted to make people at least follow the path of religion, any religion. Prabhupada says, without religion, human society is animal society. I am teaching them practically how to love God. That is what every religion, finally, if you analyze carefully, the conclusion is how to make every person who's following any faith a lover of God. So Prabhupada is saying, I am teaching them practically how to love God. So the journalist is further clarifying his understanding. Let me put in this way. If your mission and the mission of the Western Christian ethnic are the same, again, let me ask, why is it that the younger people or people in general are disenchanted and trying to go toward the Eastern-oriented religions? Prabhupada is again coming forward with the journalist is coming forward with a new point. Why is that youth are very much attracted to your religion? What is the speciality in your religion? So Prabhupada says, so that the journalist continuing to talk, why are they going toward the Eastern if both are the same? Prabhupada says very clearly, because Judaism and Christianity are not teaching them practically. I am teaching them practically. Let's see. This is a very important point Prabhupada is making. Practically, what to do, what not to do, Judaism or any other religion is not teaching, and whereas I am giving them practical instructions, practical directions. So the journalist is again reconfirming his understanding. In other words, you are teaching them what you feel is a practical everyday method for attaining this fulfillment of man's spirit. Right? He's trying to make, confirm his understanding, the journalist. Yes, Prabhupada says, love of Godhead is being taught both in the Bible and in the Bhagavad Gita. Right? Any religious scripture is teaching the same principles. But today's religionists are not actually teaching how to love God. That's the problem. Today's religionists are not teaching people how to love God. They're just using it for some other purpose. I am teaching people how to love God. That is the difference. So Prabhupada is being very frank and direct with regard to his approach, saying the difference is that I am teaching them a practical path or practical direction with regard to how to move forward with this goal of achieving love of God. How every human being should be loving God. That is the difference. Therefore, young people are attracted. That's the reason. So the journalist is continuing his questions. All right. So the end is the same, but it's the method of getting there that's different. Right? You're trying to teach them in a different way. The ultimate goal is same. Prabhupada says, no, the end is the same and the method also is the same. See, Prabhupada is further clarifying. The method is not different, method also is the same. End is the same, method also is the same. But these so-called religious leaders are not teaching people to follow the method. The problem is religious leaders are trying to mislead the common public by not teaching them the right thing, right method. Right? Proper method is there in scriptures, how to approach God, how to love God. But religion is so-called religious leaders, so-called gurus are not teaching them properly. So Prabhupada is, very, in a very positive note, saying, I am teaching them practically how to follow it. Right? So there's a more, serious question which this journalist is going to ask further. Okay. So now that question is resolved. Prabhupada is telling that there's no difference between any major faith of religion which people are following. They all got the standard methods, standard way of, the goal of all religions is to love God, but they're not teaching them practically. Prabhupada is trying to teach them practically. Let me ask you something that we have run into a great deal just recently. He's trying to bring up one more point now, the journalist. The biggest problem holding men and women back from love of God and following the 10 commandments is the problem. How I should put it? Well, the sexual problem. Now I'm stating something that's obvious. We all gone through this. The journalist is trying to bring out the big issue going on in the society in America at that time. Even now it's going on everywhere. It's a sexual problem. So Prabhupada says, yes, everyone is having this problem. The journalist is trying to further clarify. And there's nothing in Western culture or religion that teaches or helps a young person to cope with this difficult problem. Attraction between opposite sexes, and having free mixing and free mingling. Nothing that it can stop them. So I went through it. We all have. The journalist is continuing. How now do you, in your message, give the young people something to hang on to, and if so, what? It's a very serious question this journalist has asked. How do you solve this very basic problem of attraction between the opposite sexes and how it is creating so much of complication in society? All of us are facing it, time in and out. How to, you have any solution for this? In your society also, do you have this, challenge? How you're solving it is the question. So Prabhupada says, I ask my disciples to get married. I don't allow this nonsense of boys living with girlfriends. No, you must get yourself married and live like a gentleman. It's a very important statement Prabhupada is making. Here you have to understand some more things. The Bhagavata says that as humans, all of us have three tendencies. Loke, Vyavaya, Amisha, Madhya Seva. Means tendency to enjoy sex, tendency to eat meat and tendency to intoxicate yourself. Not only humans, every living entity having a material body has these tendencies. But in human life, these tendencies of inclination to have sex, to intoxicate, to eat meat is regulated. For example, eating meat anytime and every time, purchasing meat from open malls and slaughterhouses like this, killing animals, is not sanctioned as per the Vedic directions. If you are inclined to eat meat, you're supposed to offer the meat or the goat, only goat, in front of goddess Kali, that too on a specific day, Amavasya, dark moon night. And you're supposed to utter some mantras in the ear of that goat, and then sacrifice the goat with the risk that next life that goat will take a human form and it will kill you similarly. Yes, see. So the Vedic directions is not to increase and enhance your tendencies for entanglement more and more. It is meant to restrain yourself, so that you can use your time for spiritual advancement. That's the point. So Prabhupada is bringing out this particular aspect with regard to sexual indulgence. Prabhupada says elsewhere that we don't allow men and women to indulge in sex like animals, like cats and dogs, openly. So there is the institution of marriage in a human society, wherein everybody has to, the men and women have to come with the tie of marriage. A man and a woman has to have the religious way of going through the marriage process, wherein the is restricted. A man is restricted to one woman is restricted to one man. That is the way life is. So Prabhupada is bringing out this point here. I ask my disciples to get married. I don't allow this nonsense of boys living with girlfriends. No, you must get yourself married and live like a gentleman. So this journalist is having one more, curious, point to be made. Well, let me get a little more basic. How about when one is 14, 15, 16 years old, right? People, the sexual, urge begins at this age, 15, 14, teenage. So how do you handle this sexual urge is the question. Prabhupada says, one thing is that we teach our boys how to become brahmachari, how to live a life of celibacy, how to control their senses. So Prabhupada brings in the important aspect of spiritual life means life of discipline, life of austerity, not that unrestrictedly, recklessly you go on indulging in gratifying your senses. No. So Prabhupada says we train our students, especially the male, are trained in the initial stages as brahmachari. Brahmachari means a life of celibate. Celibacy means you are leading a life of controlled, disciplined life, right? Wherein your senses are restrained. You are engaging your time in your spiritual advancement. That is what a brahmachari life is. So this is what Prabhupada says. We are teaching our students to follow this brahmacharya life. Very essential for spiritual progress. In Vedic culture, marriage generally doesn't take place until the boy is about 24 or 25 and the girl is about 16 or 17. This is how the Vedic culture is designed, right? Not that, in a teenage, you start your indulgence in sex. Like Prabhupada says, nowadays there is a co-education. Boys and girls are trying to experience their sexual urges in different ways. By the time they have completed their schooling, college, they have indulged in all the things. Their mind is gone for a sixer. It is not the way. From the very beginning, the children are trained to move forward in their education, both material education and spiritual education. At an appropriate time, when they're having proper age, they are married. And because they are experiencing the spiritual pleasures of Krishna consciousness, they are not simply interested in sex life. So this is an important point Prabhupada is making. Because when you are having your culture, your upbringing, your different, your whole way of environment around you with regard to what is the purpose in life, what I'm supposed to be doing, and the goal in life is very clear, is fixed very nicely, then you are experiencing, as Prabhupada says, spiritual pleasure of Krishna consciousness. Right? We're not simply boiling down with the very basic instinct pleasures like how animals are experiencing. Because as humans, we can understand we are not simply a body with senses. We are having mind, we are having intelligence, we are having, we are spirit soul. We are emotional beings, we are intellectual beings. So different selves we have. So in the human form of life, we are supposed to elevate ourselves from a very basic sensual platform to higher platforms. Finally, you're supposed to have a spiritual situation of we being spirit souls and understanding we are connected to Krishna permanently, eternally, and we are supposed to revive that understanding and live in that consciousness. When we are reached, where it's called Brahma Bhuta stage as per Bhagavad Gita. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. Krishna says, when you come to this Brahma Bhuta stage or spiritual situation, you're always experiencing spiritual pleasure, spiritual happiness. Then all the lower so-called pleasures you're no more interested. I'll give a simple example. A child is very much busy playing with toys at a particular age. As soon as it is growing, little more and more, it will not be interested with the toys. It will have different things for its play, which means the child has grown in its understanding, its intelligence, in his mind. So he's not interested with the very, very things which are like, it is disturbing him. That's the point. So like this, you see how Krishna consciousness is giving us the highest understanding of what we should be doing and how we should be moving forward in our spiritual life. So Prabhupada says, so we don't say, don't mix with women, stop sex life. We don't say that. Rather, we regulate everything under the higher principle of Krishna consciousness. In this way, everything goes nicely. So the whole scheme of things in the human form of life is not that we go on unrestrictedly without any purpose, without any aim in life, without any goal in life. The human life and the world around us, it is all being conducted with a specific plan, specific purpose. There's a master plan of Lord Krishna in this design of the whole cosmos. So we should align with the master plan of Krishna, right? Sooner we regulate ourselves under the higher principle of Krishna consciousness, then everything will go on nicely. Otherwise, if we don't regulate ourselves properly, we don't align ourselves with the universal plan of Lord Krishna, then we are unfit in this world to have a human form. Just like any organization, any company, any factory, every worker is supposed to align with the mission of the organization, right? Then the organization can work and produce good results. Right? Otherwise, the person is not aligning with the company's, organization's motives, goals, then he's unfit in the organization. Right? So likewise, when you get a human form, you're supposed to understand the universal plan of Krishna as given in the Bhagavad Gita and Vedic scriptures, and conduct our life, align ourselves with that universal plan. So Prabhupada says, we regulate everything under the higher principles of Krishna consciousness, and everything is done very nicely. So now the journalist is asking, actually it's not Prabhupada. So your disciples don't just bite their tongue or their lip and say, I won't touch her or him, there's a substitute. Prabhupada says, yes, there's a higher taste, that is Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada says this. Right? So people, Prabhupada says, our disciples are not, they are running behind these sensations, these so-called sensations like this. They are very, because they are experiencing higher pleasure, higher principle. They are not trying to run behind this sensations like how other animals or other lower entities trying to fulfill their demands. And Prabhupada says, yes, it's working. I am already teaching Western men and women how to control their sexual impulse. In the very early days of ISKCON, Prabhupada himself conducted marriages for his disciples. As a sannyasi, he's not supposed to even participate in marriage, but he became the priest for the marriage because he wanted them to lead a regulated life. That's the understand. That's the point. My disciples that you see here are all Americans. They are not imported from India. So Prabhupada is, in very early days, he's talking to this reporter and telling how my disciples are all trying to follow what I'm telling them. These people are not imported from India. They're all from America, your own country, and they're all following. So now there's one more nice, interesting exchange of talks between this journalist and Prabhupada regarding the fake gurus situation, how they are exposed. So this journalist is asking, one thing I want to know is what you think about the people like this famous mantra selling guru who turned me off and so many other people. My daughter was very involved in that kind of thing for a while. She's terribly disillusioned. In fact, this is a wrong picture here, Prabhupada. This will be, the journalist's picture. Sorry for that. So the journalist is asking how when my daughter was disillusioned with regard to the so-called mantra selling gurus and what to do, any solution with you. Prabhupada is telling, the psychology is that the Western people, especially youngsters, are hankering after spiritual life. Everybody is hankering after spiritual life in the modern day context, right? Everybody, because all of us are spiritual entities. So Prabhupada further says, now if somebody comes to me and says, Swamiji, initiate me, I immediately say, you have to follow those 4 principles. No meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex, right? So Prabhupada is telling, not that, anybody is claiming themselves as gurus, they're offering something. And after that, the people who are all following that so-called guru, the guru is doing something abnormal, obnoxious. They all get disillusioned or they're all getting confused. So Prabhupada says, this is not the case with us in our society, our organization. If somebody comes to me and says, Swamiji, initiate me, what I say? I immediately say, you have to follow these 4 principles. Very simple. No meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex. Prabhupada is very clear. In his way of presentation and what he's wanting to do and what he's already has been doing. Right? So Prabhupada says when you make restrictions, such restrictions, many people who don't fit in this following strict regiment of things, they fall back. Right? They go away, Prabhupada says. But this mantra seller, Prabhupada is referring to the fake gurus. These so-called fake gurus, they want to sell mantras for some money. He does not put any restrictions, right? Whereas in our case, we have a lot of restrictions, rules, regulations. Only then you're qualified, then we will make you initiate a disciple. You have to first follow those principles. But this mantra seller, so-called fake gurus, they don't have any restrictions. That's just like a physician who says, you can do whatever you like, you simply take my medicine and you will be cured. That physician will be very popular. And there are so many quacks, right? Informal medical practitioners who posing themselves as doctors or physicians, and they say, okay, whatever you want, you do, whatever eating you do, simply take my medicine and you will be cured. That is not easy, not possible, because a good doctor will have a lot of things very carefully analyzed and properly given directions for the treatment with regard to diet and the medicine, right? So that physician will say, whatever you want to eat, whatever way you want, you can take, anything you do, and you will become cured. As a good doctor, Prabhupada says, real physician says, you cannot do this, you cannot do that, you cannot eat this. This is a botheration for people, right? So Prabhupada is continuing his answer. How modern day so-called gurus are telling, anything you do, everything you do, give me some money, I'll give you some mantra. That is not the way. So Prabhupada says, real physician or real doctor says, is very particular with regard to what you should do, what you should follow, how you should move forward in your spiritual life. Right? So the journalist is, again, telling that how a quack doctor will simply kill a lot of people. Right? He'll be simply a problem for everybody. So Prabhupada further continues, they want something very cheap, therefore the cheaters come and cheat them. It's the problem. Because people are all looking for something very quick solution for their problems. That is the problem, right? So they want something very cheap, quick fix things. So there are also people who are looking for such people who want to get cheated. The cheaters available, and they come and cheat us. So they take the opportunity because people want to be cheated. Oh, let us take advantage. Is the point. Is the problem. You see, Prabhupada is continuing. So the rascals advise people, you are God, everyone is God. You just have to realize yourself. You have simply forgotten. You take this mantra, you will become God. You will become powerful. There is no need to control the senses. You can drink, you can have unrestricted sex life and whatever you like. See, this is how the so-called gurus are advising their followers. All want something very cheap. Okay, anything, whatever you're doing, you continue doing. You want to become God, then you just take this mantra, give some money to me. Then you will become more powerful. You can enjoy your senses more nicely. Just see, this is what is happening. So this is such a big cheating going on in the whole society. That's the point. And people like this, simply by 15 minutes meditation, I shall become God and I have to pay only $35. People also wonder, oh, I can become God? $35 only? Okay, take. These people's mentality. Prabhupada is trying to analyze the psychology of common people. And many millions of people will be ready to do it. So something, so we are going to become God. We can be very powerful. We will become very powerful. We can enjoy our senses unrestrictedly. And many millions of people will be ready to do it. For Americans, $35 is not very much. But multiplied by 1 million, it becomes $35 million. You see. Right? For Americans, I think small money it is. But millions of people want to do this, then this guru, so fake guru, is becoming, millionaire. We cannot bluff like that. We say that if you actually want spiritual life, you have to follow the restrictions. That's the point. See, a real guru will try to give you right directions, how to transform your all the basic instincts of sexual drive or addiction to intoxicants, how that can go away and make you a real human being with all the good qualities as mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita and Vedic scriptures, and make you move towards the spiritual journey. For that, you have to follow restrictions. Yoga Indriya Samyama is a statement in Bhagavad Gita. You have to follow any yoga practice or any yoga discipline. You have to control your senses. The commandments in the Christian religion also says you shall not kill. So I shall not say, yes, you can kill. The animal has no feeling. The animal has no soul. But we cannot bluff in this way, you see. Right? People are all, so-called gurus, are trying to twist and give a different presentation to the basic religious tenets. In Christianity, there's a commandment called "Thou shall not kill." Right? And you cannot say, okay, you can kill because animals don't have soul, and humans you not kill. This is a misinterpretation of the teachings. So, like this, Prabhupada is going to continue his discussions further, and we'll conclude this in the next session about this particular topic, spiritually, this exposure, these so-called spiritualists being exposed, right? So, meanwhile, because it is a session, a recorded session, we request the viewers to post their questions or comments in the comment box, and we'll get back to you proper answers. Thank you, everybody, for attending the session. Hare Krishna.